Hello, world, and welcome to another fantastic no-brainer. I'm your host, the GOAT, Big Daddy Zach. You can always find me at nobrainershow.com. And alongside of me tonight, I have my compadre, my co-hostess with the mostest, D-Rex in effect. What up, Derek?
How are you doing?
Good. I didn't sidekick you tonight.
Yeah, no, you did me one worse. You called me co-hostess. That means I'm a woman.
Well, I have no proof of either.
Did you see my comment today? I was making some comments today. We had an interesting Senate hearing today where we simply couldn't say, can men have babies, yes or no? I'm like, you have to be kidding me. Anyway, side note.
Do you need to go back on our old show? Because you're getting into politics again.
I'm not political. I don't think it's political to say men and women exist. Women have the babies, men have the
I got you. I don't
think actually
I spoke to our old show host the other day, and he'd love to. He wants to come on the show. He wants to visit with us. He wants to have a reunion. We should
have him on the show.
Yeah, we'll do a reunion show with him.
We could do it at his. He could do it at ours. Whatever you want to do.
Let's go back to. I was watching some of our old videos, dude. We used to bash the snot out of each other. Oh my gosh, it was beautiful.
Well,
anyway, we've got a fantastic show tonight, folks. We have a special guest in studio, and I want to reiterate that this is my not new studio. We're building a new studio at the end of March. I think my roommate's moving out, and by roommate I mean my son. And I'm taking over his bedroom. Lorianne said I could have it and turn it into my studio. So we're gonna have couches and chairs, and it's gonna be almost like the Sean Ryan show.
The 2 points. One, the garage isn't working out,
dude. No, no. There's too much work to do it. I think the room will look nice.
I'm guessing your son being into video games, maybe you had the idea that conversion wouldn't be so difficult, right?
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of common elements, right?
Hey. Let me introduce our guest, bro.
You got it.
One of my very dear friends, a mentor, and a all-around great guy who will lead us tonight in some fantastic conversation on business, entrepreneurism, and anywhere else he wants to go. Bob Perry. Thanks, Bob, for joining us tonight.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Don't forget to tip your waitresses. It's 2-drink minimum.
Right.
No, you can't get chili on those fries.
So Bob,
yep.
You've been in business for a long time.
Yep.
You have how many businesses under your belt right now that you're working?
I'm probably actively in about 5 verticals.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one that I'm very familiar with, obviously, is the wedding venue.
Right.
And then we have a business together. We're glamping.
Right.
And then we also have another business together, which is a mobile cigar bar.
Right.
And ladies and gentlemen, you can thank Bob for my passion of cigars. Listen, I mean, I smoked for forever, and then I quit, and then I got back into cigars, and I realized these are really not that bad. And I've done a lot of research, and they're not bad for you. So if you don't like cigars, that's your problem. You're not sophisticated, I guess.
So just circling back on that comment, cigars are sophistication. I mean, that's the bellwether.
Well, listen.
All right.
The fancy joints you've taken me to, I feel like I feel like my IQ actually goes up, as opposed to when I take you to Buc-ee's and your IQ goes down.
Or when we visit. Either way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, either way.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's a hybrid of both.
Yeah. So we've got a couple businesses rolling, and Bob, just tell us about yourself. And I know where you're from, but let the people know where you're from, how you got into entrepreneurism, what like sparked it, and bring us up to date. Let's go from there.
Yeah. So I grew up in North Carolina. My dad was a soldier, he was an officer in the military, Vietnam era, but then retired in the 80s. And for the majority of my life, I lived in North Carolina. I grew up on the coast. There's a small town there, not so small anymore. I don't think it's called Morehead City, North Carolina, just across the Atlantic Beach Bridge from Atlantic Beach. And I realize a lot of places on the East Coast have Atlantic beaches. This one's in North Carolina. I grew up surfing, skateboarding, doing all the things that you can imagine. I played every sport that would have me. I made every team. I didn't start on every team, but I made every team. I was good enough to make the team. But I just enjoyed growing up in Eastern North Carolina. I think there were 7,000 people in our town when I was young there, and just a vibrant and alive community. So anybody from Morehead City, Atlantic Beach, Newport, Havelock, Stacy, Smyrna, Betty, Lizzie. Yeah, those are all places, Marshallburg, and everybody down Eastern North Carolina, Beaufort, juxtaposed to Beaufort, but Beaufort, North Carolina. And so I grew up there, and really the only industries that you could be involved in were military industries or coastal type fishing industries. And, when your friends are getting new surfboards or new skateboards or those kinds of things, you want those things. You want the things of youth. And so my brother and I would go around and mow lawns, and whenever the tobacco season wasn't going on, and we both took a job in tobacco when we were 9 years old. I started topping and suckering in tobacco and working the fields, and that usually starts in late July, early August, right around there.
Oh,
and,
so they make you pick tobacco when it's like very hot.
Yeah, it's about the temperature that it takes to cure it. so it's
Right.
absolutely brutal.
Well, let's circle back for a moment.
Yeah.
When you started surfing, did you self-teach yourself? Did you teach yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I borrowed a board and just paddled out. Had friends that were surfing and just paddled out, and they would go way out, and I would stand on the sandbar that was in the water because I didn't know how to stay on my board. And so that probably took about 2 seasons for me to do that. But once I got the hang of it, I would paddle out with them, and I surfed on a couple of teams, and I would win a heat or two, but there were guys that were so much better surfers than I, and I still surf today.
Did you ever surf with like Kelly Slater or anybody?
No, he's from Florida, and so
who's a big name up in North Carolina?
Roy Heverly. If you look up Roy Heverly, he has 2 sons, Hunter and Fisher Heverly, and both of them, I believe they're both still on the ASP tour right now. So those guys, Wes Lane, who is out of Virginia Beach, rode for a team called Wave Riding Vehicles. Amazing guy, 6'5" guy, really long, tall, lithe. So whenever he was surfing, it cut quite a silhouette. It was really nice. And just growing up, Noah Snyder is from the East Coast, a believer, loves God. And I would see him at the Outer Banks, Cape Hatteras, Manio, Kill Devil Hills, Corolla, Duck. So, yeah, I mean, it was a great time to be alive, and I've really enjoyed getting into water sports. Now, I was a scuba diver. Yeah, we did all that stuff, and it was just you're at the coast, so
right? What else do you? And I have fond memories, as you know. I have my Cape Hatteras picture back there. I have fond memories of Hatteras, going down with my friends, surfing, and my parents had a house down there, and my dad was big into fishing. And that was the first time I ever went deep sea fishing, was in Cape Hatteras, and got seasick and said, I'm never doing that again. So
sweet.
Yeah, I did. But I caught a big 75-pound yellowfin tuna, and it was great. I mean, we had a blast. I mean, we used to camp there. We used to stay there in Duck. Their house was in Duck.
So just to clarify for all the non-North Carolina believers out there, we're talking Outer Banks at this point, right?
Yes.
I mean, we're out a ways.
You lived on the land side. You had to go over the bridge to get Outer Banks?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived. So if you followed, let's just say you followed South Carolina up from Myrtle Beach, and you took Highway 17 up. All along Highway 17, there are all kinds of small towns just across a bridge, the Barrier Island. So I grew up on a barrier island. Mm-hmm. And so Cape Hatteras, you had to go from my house in Morehead City. You had to drive to Cedar Point, get on a ferry. You took a 2-hour, 45-minute ferry over to Ocracoke Island.
Ocracoke.
From Ocracoke. You had 13.2 miles to the other end. Then you would get on the Buxton ferry, and you would take that ferry over to Buxton, which is where Cape Hatteras was. And it was actually, the lighthouse was located on the ocean at the time. Remember, they moved it in the 90s. They they moved the whole lighthouse inland because the Cape Hatteras National Seashore was going through a lot of, the sea was coming for it and was reclaiming land, and so there were a bunch of jetties there, and so we would pull up, and we would pull up to the lighthouse, and we would camp underneath our trucks, and we did what was called dawn patrol. As soon as the sun was breaking up over the horizon, if the waves were up, we were in the water, and I did that, and it's a cold water.
Yes, it is.
The Outer Banks has 5 cold water currents that come together. Some of the best fishing in the world. It's right there is the graveyard of the Atlantic. A lot of U-boats that were for World War II, that are down there. So we would dive the wrecks, and it was a great time. It was just a great time. I mean, there was nobody down there. Cape Hatteras was an afterthought to most people.
Right.
The barber pole. So yeah, it was just an amazing time to be alive. It was the 70s.
Anything 70s and 80s was just the best time to be alive, And it's funny because I think I've told you this story. My father used to vacation there when he was in college for spring break and, stuff like that. And he kicks himself. If he was still alive, he'd still be kicking himself because he said he could have bought acres and acres for pennies on the dollar. And now you can't touch an eighth of an acre for less than what? A couple million, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's probably the number.
So I'm assuming you've never dealt with a hurricane living there.
No,
not at all.
Never.
Yeah,
I've never had to boil water, tape up my windows, fill my bathtub, tape my bath, fill my bathtub with water, get everything ready, storm shutters. No, I've never. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. What is that all about?
Derek,
have you ever been to Outer Banks?
Yeah. When I was maybe, I can't say the age, but pretty young, maybe 10. We actually stayed in Nags Head for a while.
Okay.
So a little bit further north of there, but I would still consider Outer Banks. And I know it was after, I forget what major hurricane came through there in the 90s.
It was probably Hurricane Irene, or it could have been Floyd that came in somewhere close to there. Hurricane Fran came up through.
Not Floyd.
Okay.
Let me see. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Might have been Irene.
It seems like.
Did he just say he was like 10 in the 90s? You just made me feel old, bro.
Well, you are oldie.
Well, that's beside the point.
Hey, I'm out of all 3 of us. So
old is relevant in regard to who you're around, I suppose. But
old and best looking.
But I don't know. Like it must have been after a major hurricane, because I think even at that time, most of the houses and businesses were up on stilts of some sort.
Well,
and I don't know how that works, Bob. Maybe you can explain that. But I feel like as the more and more hurricanes piled up over time, more and more things go on stilts. Is that true?
It's a lot.
Isn't every house on Outer Banks on stilts, or
if they're on the water?
Yeah,
for sure they are. I mean,
I thought it was cool because you could park your car under the house, and I didn't realize it was for the storm. But
not all of them are up on really high stilts, but I mean, even the ones that are on somewhat of an elevation just for flooding. Yeah.
Well, if you're on the Outer Banks and a storm's coming, you better pray your house is still there when you
get back. Get it. Yeah.
You're going to get hit. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of like when Katrina hit New Orleans. I remember watching the videos of houses that were on stilts, and then they'd go drive by and there was nothing there but a cement pad. I mean, the stilts didn't do anything. So
I've seen that a lot in my life.
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot. You got the core banks that are there. You have the Pamlico River that are right there. You have Cape Lookout that's not too far from Cape Hatteras as the crow flies. I did a lot of surfing at Cape Lookout. You either had to have a boat to go from Beaufort, North Carolina. You would go past Shackleford Banks and straight over to Cape Lookout. And there's almost up to and include, I would say as early as probably 15, 16 years ago, there's very little of anything going out at the Cape Lookout National Seashore. And now they have ferries that go from Harker's Island and down East Marshallburg area, and they take you over there. And so there's a ferry service now, and they have parks and, walkways and those kinds of things. But when I was growing up, that wasn't the deal. I mean, we used to scuba dive there. We would scuba dive in the Sound. We would scuba dive on the jetties. It was just, it was just a great time to be alive.
I have to find it.
Absolutely great.
Yeah, I have to find it, but I have a a map that used to be on my bedroom wall. It wasn't a big map, 3x5 or whatever, but of where all the sunken pirate ships were.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, they say that the Outer Banks like was the place where they all went to die.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like Cape Lookout and Hatteras are, if you think about it, they're out in the water a little bit. Like they're out there. You would find
Yeah.
that type of stuff
Yeah.
there. Like
So what? And excuse me for not knowing my geography perfectly, but why is Cape Hatteras such a hit spot? And then you go down the street a couple, maybe an hour or so, to Myrtle Beach, and I don't think they get wrecked like Cape Hatteras does, do they?
Myrtle Beach is probably, if you had to drive it, if you took out the ferry ride's going to be 3 hours and 20 minutes. You're probably 5 hours of driving.
And it's because it's that south. It's
just way down there. It's past Wilmington is right there close to the border. And there's a little town called Charlotte, North Carolina. And it's all right there.
Isn't that where Cape Fear is? Wilmington, that area?
Yeah. Cape Fear. That's the river that Hurricane Fran came up in Raleigh. When it came up the Cape Fear River, landed in Raleigh as a solid Cat 1 hurricane, almost Cat 2. And we lost, they say we lost 3 million trees of our standing timber in North Carolina from Hurricane Fran.
Wow.
And that was one of my businesses. I was actually in the tree and logging industry when it came. I was actually, yeah. We did. I mean, it was amazing. It was, it was absolutely amazing that we were able to provide a service and turn a small dollar. Because we're in North Carolina town, we're a North Carolina company. It was really important to us, those of us that owned companies in North Carolina.
He'll come back.
It was really important to us to keep integrity when we were doing work in our own state, because we had a lot of companies that came from out of state that were just absolutely price gouging. Like we're charging $1,000 a tree, and they would have 80, 90 trees down in their yard, and they would just charge exorbitant fees. They came from all over the country, and it was just crazy. And so that was in the 90s. Hurricane Fran was rough. I mean, there were people that went.
That was the one that hit the Panhandle here. It came up the Gulf, I want to say.
No, Hurricane Fran made a landfall on the Cape Fear River near.
Right. I think, didn't it go across and then go back up? No,
I don't think so.
But I remember, look, there was 4 hurricanes we got hit with. It was Charlie, Fran.
Are you sure? Fran, I'm almost positive Fran was a direct
I'll have to look it up.
landfall.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
I will. But but there was 4 hurricanes we got hit that year. It was like back to back to back. And I remember Charlie was the worst. Charlie came up the I-4 corridor and hit South Orlando. That it like wrecked it. It was one of the first hurricanes.
Was that 04?
Oh yeah, 03, 04, yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Fran happened in the 90s.
Because I was then it was Gene. Oh, it was Gene. Sorry, Gene. Okay, it was Hurricane Gene. Yeah. Sorry. My ex-mother-in-law. How do I forget that? Yeah. It was the first. I'll never forget. So it was my first time living in an apartment. I was on the 3rd floor, and I grew up in a house. I never lived in an apartment down here. I had a house when I was married to my ex-wife, and the building was moving, and like the kids were terrified. They're like, "Dad, we can't." So we went to my friend's house, who was having a hurricane party. Hung out and had a hurricane party. It was the craziest thing. I'd never experienced it. Now in Jersey, when we had a hurricane, my dad was like, pack up the van. We would drive to the water to watch it come in. He would love watching it come in land. And you can tighten it right here.
I know. Well, I mean, I'm just fiddling with it. This is fine. I don't know. I mean, it's like, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I was hiding my teeth.
So okay. So
I don't know.
You grew up surfing, skateboarding.
Yeah.
Went to college.
Yeah.
Did you go to college for business?
I didn't. I actually was in politics, political science, government, those kinds of things. It was my interest. And I had, for the longest time, I massaged the idea of law school.
That's right. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Isn't your aunt a lawyer?
No,
she's a doctor. Well, she's like super smart. Something. You tell me. I don't remember. Or is your sister?
Yeah, I mean, you're like 0 for 4, bro.
I mean, if you
terrible.
keep
All right,
listing
whatever.
random people, you're bound to
I
hit
mean,
one
Listen, your
eventually,
cousin,
Zach.
third uncle, twice removed. He's a lawyer, right?
somebody.
There you
Somebody's
go.
a lawyer in your family. I remember talking about it.
Listen, I know that somebody from Noah's lineage is a lawyer who's connected to
Maybe
you.
even Adam's lineage. Let's
Yeah.
go that far. Let's go farther
That's
Well,
back.
they could be dead, but yeah, I got you.
They may not be walking.
Right.
Well,
So-
you know, Methuselah, but
I mean, the guy lived
yeah,
to be
so I went to
981 or
school.
something like that, so he must have been a hell of a practitioner.
Right about the end of my high school life, though, my senior in high school, I discovered a relationship with Christ. I gave my heart to the Lord, which absolutely changed the trajectory of my path. Like, you know, one of the things that I've noticed about today is the hopelessness that you find in generations outside of what the traditional path of life is. In other words, everybody, they graduate from high school, they go to college, they expect a good job, then they want to work the grind, get the hustle, and then eventually retire well. And these days, as I've talked to a lot of young people, they really don't know what to hope for because they see the world in a wildly different way than I did. Like when I was looking at the world, myself and my brother and my sister, we just thought that everything was available to us. Home ownership was available to us. Business opportunity was available to us.
right.
I mean, there was just so much hope. And remember, I was born in the early to mid 60s. I was born in 64, so I'm 61. I'll be 62 this year. And I had great hope. I had amazing hope. And the world wasn't such a daunting place. It was a place to go out and accomplish and make something of yourself, right? Self-reliance was a big deal because my dad was a soldier. My mother was a nurse, a critical care registered nurse. And my family's really educated. My aunt, who you had mentioned, was actually an Oxford and Fulbright scholar, and she carried multiple PhDs and was incredibly smart. And so
You found the
my
doctor.
dad, I'm sorry.
You found the doctor.
Yeah,
Well-
no lawyer. I got a doctor.
She just had
all
a
right.
doctorate. Okay. That doesn't count. Sorry, it was only 2 PhDs. So.
That's all right.
She's
So
not. We haven't found the smartest one yet.
Well, I would say that. So on my dad's side, my grandmother Naomi was one of 13 children.
Good Lord.
And out of 13, 11 of them were docs, bone docs, upper thoracics, vascular surgeons. The MDs, and then the other two went into other professions. My dad never told me, so there's a huge scientific medical leaning on that side. From my side, my leaning is more history, less of the humanities and more history, politics. I like law. I mean, these are things that I really enjoy. And when I was going to school, I just, I didn't know if military was my path. There was a lot of paths that were open to me because I believe that they were open to me. The one thing that I've realized in life, is whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And so that's quoted by other people. Obviously, it's not something that I came up with, but I just knew that when I gave my heart to Christ, that all my questions would be answered. It's very early in my life, I felt like that I was destined to do something. And what I found is the crab in the bucket thing, in your peer group is real. If you believe outside of the other crabs in that bucket and you try to get out of that bucket, they are going to pull you back. You can believe it. Don't try to rise above your peer group, your social standing, your educational value. All these things really came into play for me, for people. And I learned to keep hope, dream, and vision in many ways to myself. I became really quiet about the things that I wanted to accomplish and do, but I gave my heart to Christ at 17 years old, went through a terrible family trauma. Because of that, my mother was really anti anything Jesus or born again. She just was against it and flat out told me. And so I was emancipated at 17 years old. My mother took me to court and had me emancipated. And I ended up homeless my senior year in high school. I ended up homeless. And then my mom caught me in the winter months trying to get warm inside her shed and then had me trespassed and taken to jail.
She took the shed away. She couldn't even give you the
17
shed.
Years old, brother.
Man.
Now, let me just say this. I was able to really put that away in my life, and I hold no ill will to my mom. She's already gone on to her eternal resting place. So nothing negative about mom, but so I go off to school, and I end up meeting,
which I find interesting because, sorry to cut you off, but I find it interesting because your brother, helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
Your other brother was in the military.
Yeah.
So you go,
aunts, uncles.
Everybody's in the military, and you said, I'm going to go to college.
Yeah.
I just, with your unique background, I would have thought military would have been your sure shot, but as you've told me before, you decided at the last minute it wasn't.
Yeah. So I I did enlist in a branch, and I was supposed to go to MEPS, and a buddy of mine talked me out of it. He said, "Hey, there's no girls where you're going, buddy." And
that is a very high, of all the what do you call that, points of consideration, at that age.
Yeah. I mean,
it's definitely a top 5.
Funny story. When I was in MEPS, the night we're staying in the hotel, 2 girls were across the hall from us going into the Air Force. So I was like, no, I should have went to the Air Force, because that's, where all the chicks go. But I'll just leave it at that.
I mean, there's a lot of women in combat arms across the force, brother.
Yes, so I agree.
Just to tell you.
I agree.
And not for nothing, but if they have to, there's many of them that have gotten in gunfights outside of their MOS.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean a lot of them.
Sure.
They distinguish themselves well.
So you went to college, and you studied
politics. Yeah.
Did you want to, were you aspiring to be a politician?
I didn't know, but I was working, circling back to when I was 9 years old, mowing lawns and doing tobacco, because I feel like we've advanced this past. You asked me about business, where I got my passion from. Yeah. So my brother and I, we would dig for clams. We would mow lawns. We would clean rain gutters, because there were things I wanted. And my dad's a soldier, for criminy sake. My mother is a nurse. Well, this is actually before my mom was a nurse. My mom was just staying at home and working. She was a stay-at-home mom, but she was working. She really didn't end up going to a nursing school until my parents were divorced. So it's not like we had a lot of money.
Right.
So you have to find a way. If you want something, the pathway is to trading time for revenue. And so my brother and I bought, and this was in the 1970s, my brother and I bought this old push mower, and it had these dual handlebars that came into handlebars that went out like that.
Oh yeah.
Like a T.
Yeah.
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 And we would get a milk jug after we cleaned it out and dried it, and we'd fill it up with gas. We'd slide it on the T, and we'd push that around. We would push it around, and we would knock on doors. And I remember it was $5 a mow. And brother, we were getting it in. And I mean, my house was right beside the movie theater. So I knew how much it was. Like, I'd look across there. My window faced the movie theater, and right there, where my window faced the movie theater, the side of the movie theater, is where they made all the popcorn. They had these huge popcorn makers. This was back in the day when they made it and brought it around. So every night when the guy was throwing it out, I would if I wanted it, I'd raise the window and say, I'll be right down. So I'd go down there and get it. But we were mowing lawns, and I think movies were 75 cents. I think that's right. And I think you could get a drink for about a quarter. It was something along that line. As a matter of fact, in my high school, when Mellow Yellow first came out, they put the Mellow Yellow machines in our high school. I'll never forget it. And they were 10 cents.
10 cents for a Mellow Yellow.
They were, as my high school football coach would say, they were 10 by God cents. It was 10 friggin' cents. Levi's jeans were $13. If I believe I'm remembering right. They were like $13. It was a big
Sounds
deal.
about right.
Yeah. And, so we wanted all that stuff. And so we started to trade time for money, and we would dig clams. We would pull tobacco. I mean, I was the only guy probably in my class that was making $100 a week. And dude, I mean, I mean, we were getting rich.
You
I
were
mean, me
living-
and my brother
living high off
we
the
were
hog.
freaking doing it. When I got kicked out of my house, after I gave my heart to Christ, I literally got put on the street. I moved into a broken down bus in the woods. And there was an old carpet in there I'd roll myself up in, and I would sleep in there.
Oh my God.
And back then they had happy hours would be 5 o'clock, and they would serve the meatballs and all the stuff. Right. And so they would let me come in and get meatballs and eat. And so I had a food source.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Right.
So I turned 18, and then I went on welfare. At 18 years old, I went on welfare. I was able to go on welfare.
Dude.
Yeah.
$5. I'm doing, was that when you were mowing lawns where you say you were like 9, 10, 11, something like that?
Yeah, I was about 9 years old when we started, about $5 a lawn.
I'm thinking in my head like,
70,
no,
74.
I'm thinking in my head like, no way, like that inflation's way different. And I adjust it to today, and that's like $31, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, I only got like 15 as a kid, but I just adjusted it from 93 to today for 15, and that's $34.
Right.
So I was getting more than you. When I was pimping the hood.
Where were you living?
He lived in a gated community.
I lived in
Richard
yeah,
Mitchell over here.
right. Very, very the depth of you could open a book of middle class in the 90s, and it was perfectly there. But we lived in West Michigan, about just like not big lots, maybe like a quarter to 0.35, so.
Right.
And yeah, when I was 7, 8, 92, 93, I started, people would go on vacation. They'd see me mowing the lawn, and they'd be like, hey, yep, you want to do it? Yep. And well, I think I would give the neighbor a discount because he had Parkinson's and he couldn't even do it for $10, but there are people giving me 20, man.
Well, let me give you some.
So I would say, 6, 7, 8 lawns a week doing that. You're doing all right.
So juxtaposed.
Yeah.
When I was working in tobacco, I was making $1.25 an hour. There you go. And I was living in Morehead City, North Carolina. And
I think my first job at 14.
we were doing good.
My first job at 14 in
We were doing real
1980, whatever it was. I think I made $2.14 an hour. That was minimum wage.
Yeah.
$2.15 an hour, something like that.
The highest I ever got paid, I think, working in tobacco was $2.25. I think that's right. Because farm labor is different. You can charge different for farm labor.
Right.
My dad would get him and his brothers used to pick beans before they went to, this is grade school, elementary school, not middle school.
Oh yeah.
And I think they got like a nickel a bushel.
That's what's up.
Yeah. And my dad was like the turbo picker. Like nobody could keep up with him. He was so fast. But his twin brother, on the other hand, was the perfectionist. He would have to pick every bean had to be perfect.
Oh.
And my dad would get mad at him. He's like, dude, keep up with me. You know?
I'm going after it with a scraper. Like I'm figuring out the shortest distance to do it right.
So at a young age, you obviously learned, okay, if I want things, if I want to take the hottie to a movie, I gotta, obviously can't go ask mom for $20. I got to go out and get it.
Yeah, and I would also ask my mom for $20.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so no need to lie about that.
Who didn't?
So where I really came on my first opportunity, I did, living at home and doing those kinds of things. Where I really came on my first opportunity was once I got kicked out of the house. I had nowhere to live, and I convinced a friend to let me use his address. I hitchhiked to a job interview 2 towns over for a car dealership that was opening up.
Slinging iron, huh?
I sold Hondas when I was 18 years old, and I made enough money. I went to community college immediately. I finished school. I started semesters. I worked, and I was selling 10, 12 cars a month. I went from a dead stop. I went from living in a bus on the woods. I didn't even have an address. I had a friend of mine who agreed, let me use his address, and he was still living at home. So I would just find ways. I would swim in swimming pools, and I would get clean that way. And once I made that first 2 or 3 checks, and that was back in the day when they had a demo program. So now,
if you were selling 12 cars a month, you had a demo. At least the dealerships I worked for, you had to sell a certain amount.
Yeah.
and then you would get a demo, and usually it was 9 or 12, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then if you were up in the 18, 15 to 18 range, you got the better demo.
Yeah, well, I didn't care. I just got a demo, and the first one was the Honda Civic station wagon. Yeah, that was the first car, and I picked it. I was like, yeah, I'll take that because it's big in the back. So I was like,
car and a home right there.
Yeah, and I mean, I was the original boondocker.
You could have your surfboard hanging out the back, right?
Yeah, that didn't happen. So anyway, so I made enough money after a couple of checks. They paid every other week. I got 2 checks. I was a month deep, and I think I had like, I don't know, $1,800 or something like that. And my rent was for something. I went and rented an apartment, but I only had enough money to put the deposit, pay the application. It was right down the road from the dealership in Morehead City, and I put the deposit down, and then I had enough money to go and buy a bed and a sofa and a blender. And I needed the blender for the alcohol that I was potentially going to consume. Like, I didn't know why, but I felt like, okay, I need a blender. But I ate out every day. And so I did that for quite a while. And then I realized I wanted to go on to, I wanted to go on to a better school. I mean, I wanted to move past community college and go on in the university system. But for me, it was, you could see in the distance that there was something for me to do. Like, I wasn't just a person who was born, who's going to work a job and then I'm going to die. It wasn't like that. It was, there is something for me to do. It's more than just this. There's no way that this is what God has intended for me, because I had given my heart to Christ. I put my yes on the altar. I said yes to his lordship. He was making the way. And he said, I remember he said, go to Greenville. And so I went to Greenville, North Carolina. And I just really fell in love with business people in Greenville. And
was Greenville bigger than Raleigh, or?
Yeah. No. Greenville's much smaller than Raleigh, but it was small, much smaller, but where I just wanted to do everything. Like, I'm what's known as a polymath. And so anybody that's watching the podcast, you should look it up. It's somebody with a broad range of interests and a moderate level of expertise where they can speak with some acuity. That's what a polymath is. And the world used to be run by polymaths, people that could do a bunch of different things. And it, many times it's seen as not able to focus. No, it's not that I'm not able to focus. I'm just able to focus on way more than you're able to focus on it. I've found that people that say they have ADHD, or the people that point out people that have attention deficit disorder, it's boring people trying to explain interesting people. I don't have ADHD because I have a broad range of interests. It's not about that. And so my mother one time said, why can't you focus on one thing? It's distraction. It's attention deficit. And I said, have you ever heard of Warren Buffett? And she said, yeah. And I said, what do you know about him? She said, Berkshire Hathaway. And I said, right. I said, Warren Buffett owns a piece of 40,000 companies. So if I've got ADHD,
ADHD.
Either way, if I've got whatever one of those 4-letter agency things is, and you're accusing me of that, what has he got? that guy's a drooling savant. Like if I've got $5 interests and I'm able to exploit those 5 interests, then you tell me, if this guy has 40,000 pieces of company, you tell me how I'm the guy with ADHD and that guy is the darling of Wall Street.
Well, I think the conversation isn't really on point, because I do believe that it's true that if you focus on one.
No, that's what I said.
If you focus on one discipline to create the cash flow machine, it's a lot easier to build around it and become that you know what I'm saying? Then get a little dip into something. But I think it's true that you need to have enough focus in one area for enough time to make sure it's creating, a reoccurring revenue with cash flow. And then that can feed as much as you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people get their start in one really boring, like you said, lawn mowing led to this, led to car, whatever, the cars led to your vehicle and your, what did you call it? Your demo, all that stuff that gave you opportunities to get to where you are. I think that focus on one thing to create an actual pathway is helpful, but that doesn't mean that's where you stay necessarily, you know?
I think the people I think the people, not to detract from what you're saying, but I think the people that have that as a mindset need to stay in that singular lane and leave the rest of us that can take over 5 to 10 lanes and just leave us alone. I mean, there's 2 places that people can live absolutely for free. That's in their own lane and out of my business. And they can absolutely live in both places for free. I'm in a lot of different verticals, and I have opportunities coming to me all the time. And the issue isn't whether or not I could do them. To your point, Derek, is whether or not I should do them. Like, there's a difference between a signal and a noise. I don't need the noise, but I definitely need to tune into the signal. And I have found over the years, and this is where my relationship with the Lord comes in. Business isn't the way it used to be in the 80s. It's not the same as it was in the 90s, the early 2000s, or even before 2020. Business doesn't have the same. It's just not the same. And I've had to learn how to flex and pivot to find my space. Like a lot of entrepreneurs have had to learn how to flex and pivot to find their space. And there is merit if you are going to be an orthopedic surgeon, by God, you better focus. You absolutely better focus. If you're gonna take on international criminal law, then you need to focus in that. If you're an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur that's been in car washing like I have, and I've owned a lot of car washes at one time, painting, brick, logging, the event business, rental business. Like, I've had so many businesses in my life. I've made money at all of them, some more, some less. And along the path of my life, it's all kind of worked out for me, because every time that I made a move, I made a move because the Lord told me to, not because I thought that I had the cash flow, Derek. Let me tell you, I'm a numbers guy. I see numbers everywhere I look. And I have a bit of a Rain Man kind of penchant. I do. I mean, I see numbers everywhere I look. But every move that I've ever made is because the Lord has said, do it. And probably 90% of all the business people that I've known that have said, you ought not do that, when I went against it because I felt like the Lord told me to, my strength was in Him. Happy is he whose hope is in the Lord, because he trusts in Him. And these things are not exclusive. Exclusive. They're mutually inclusive. I do what I do because God has breathed giftings and talents in my life, and I'm going to do them. And if it hairlips the devil and every business MBA on the planet, no disrespect to you, sir, personally, but if it hairlips everybody, I don't care. I know what my net worth is, and I know how it's worked out for me, and I know how it's going to work out in the future. And
and let me throw it at you too. I listen to a lot of different serial entrepreneurs.
Yep.
Gary V, Warren Buffett, a lot of these guys. And one of the things that really I always see them boil down to is multiple streams, because one stream can make you rich, but if you've got 5 streams, then you're mega rich if you're working them all properly. And I don't think, and I understand where you're coming from, because I've been categorized as ADHD until you have corrected me and taught me that maybe I'm more polymath than anything else. You did when we were chatting. You did. You corrected me.
I wouldn't. Who? Nobody said nobody ever.
You smacked me around.
I
It
didn't.
was terrible.
No. I'm more. You know what?
There was tasers and there was zip ties involved.
K9.
Why did you relate back to that like it was a fond experience? You enjoyed the punishment.
No, okay. No. But I enjoyed learning that.
I actually need an answer to that. No, Derek. Yeah,
Listen, I think we can all agree that Bob coined a new term, HDHD, high definition hyperactive disorder.
That's what I'm talking about, bro.
So,
you better write
because
that down.
if I'm good at 720p, I've got to be good in 4K.
Yeah, baby.
I'm distracted in 720. 4K.
That's a good comparison. It's like don't hate on me because you're living in 480p and I'm rocking to 8K.
I mean, what's up?
Yeah. No, and I get it, because there was things that people didn't understand how my mind worked to relate to you, because I had so many things going on. My mom used to be amazed that I could be talking to a customer, watching TV on the phone, working on the computer all at the same time, and everything's working seamlessly. And so I just, maybe, you know, everybody wants to give somebody a label. Everybody's now the new thing is, and I don't disrespect, please don't take this disrespectfully. I don't put down, but everybody says everybody's, you know, got a touch of autism in them. Maybe that's just how our minds work. You know, I don't look at kids who have autism or anything like that as a disability. I look at it as an ability. As a matter of fact, Derek, I just met a kid who we're going to have on the show who he does a podcast. He's autistic and he's a entrepreneur and successful at it. And I think, you know, if you learn to work your mind properly, as I did, as I got older, I learned that my ADHD was not a disability, that everybody wanted to put me pills and this, that, and the other thing. No, this was my superpower because I was able to do things. Like you said, and the boring folk were just trying to tell me, there's something wrong with you. You know, you're distracted, this or other. No, I got 7 things going on. And there's one of my pages is open and it's playing music and I don't know where it's coming from, but I'll figure it out in a minute. But, you know, that's just how my mind works. And I think I know you give me a hard time about my shiny
ball syndrome.
Shiny ball syndrome. I know you give me that.
I mean, I think they're 2 different conversations. I think it's an advantage to be ADHD, but I do think there's times where you got to do the meat and potatoes execution to get where you need to be.
Of course you do.
So like, so my point is, I'm trying to like just list out 4 things about this channel that are meat and potatoes execution, and you're plowing all these ideas, which is fantastic. I just don't want to go there until the execution is like in place. Systemic.
No, I didn't get it.
You know what I'm saying? And then you're like, okay, then we split test, then we A/B, then we get this person involved, blah, 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 blah. But like, there's certain meat and potatoes, like we talked about, like quality of conversation, quality of guests, quality of recording, quality of sound. I mean, there's just certain engagement things that we just and look at you. You're proving your own point because you're like, I'm booking people out through February into March. You never did that before. You flew by the seat of your pants. And listen, I don't think you shouldn't be doing other stuff, but you got to get that right first. And now you're getting that right. So now it's like you can expand outward from that. Like you can't. I think you have to have a foothold somewhere before you can just spread your shit everywhere. I love spreading shit. But like I think it's so valuable to have a little foothold in the middle.
Right there, you know
what I'm saying? And you you created a foothold, so now you can spread more shit.
Well, one of the things I was getting at, like, I've always pictured. Let's use the painter's analogy. I'm the guy who throws the paint on the wall. I'm not a cutter. I am not a fine-tuned cutter at all. I can't stand it. I don't know how to do it, but I can paint the wall. That's for sure. Everybody else, you get the corners. That's not my job, right? So I think that's how my mind works when it comes to a lot of things. I look at the big, I try and not micromanage, I macro manage. I try and look at, you know, 400 feet, then 5,000 feet, then 10,000 feet. And let me see how big. And then I'm realizing, man, the world is so big. Let's just take.
And I'm not telling you not to paint the wall. I'm just telling you to mix the paint right and do your good W pattern when you spread it. That's all. Like you paint the shit out of that wall. But do it. But you get what I'm saying. Do it right.
You get what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
I you know, I was actually saying to myself earlier, and this is funny. We'll get back to you in 30 seconds. Sorry.
It's all right. I came here for this, whether I sit here for 2 hours or not. It's really indifferent. I'm very stoic as a person.
Listen, he's not leaving. No.
Thank goodness.
I said to myself today, I need to come up with a game plan on how to keep track of guests because I've talked to 3 different people and told them different slots. And now I've already filled those slots and I feel like a schmuck because I got to go back to them now and tell them I don't have that spot open. So look, I'm fine tuning it.
So you did what? You went out and you got Calendly.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It pisses me off. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. Anyway, Bob, you went to college.
Yep.
You became not a politician, even though you studied it.
I worked in politics.
What
I worked on some campaigns.
Was it because your passion for politics or just learning?
No,
Like, you studied poli science, right?
Yeah.
Was it because that was something that intrigued you? You wanted to learn it, or not because you wanted to become a politician?
I'm not really sure why I did it. I had an acuity to it. It was something that was, you know, when you have to start your life at 17 years old on your own,
right?
You're looking for a path that would, have least resistance. And so, I still haven't found that path, though, just by the way. But I started going to a church, and when I went to the church, I realized I actually had a call on my life to preach the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything else kind of went by the wayside. But I don't know if anybody on this podcast here has realized, but, average ministry in North America, most churches have less than 75 members in them. Like 90% of all churches have less than 75 members. And the members don't really have the finance. So there's really no funding in that area to support ministers that are that are solo vocational. It's a singular vocation. They really can't support it.
Right.
Right. And so what you have is this dichotomy of very, very, very rich people on TV telling you how rich you can be and putting it out there in ministry that this can be your life. Well, yes, it can. I mean, you could also be a professional baseball player. The chances are slim, but it's there. And so what happened for me was I knew that there was going to have to be a segue of financial, of finance. There was going to have to be some way to support myself. And so entrepreneurism was the way for me to do it. And, I just found ways to make money, to exploit markets that I learned about gap analysis through doing. I didn't learn it through schooling. I learned barriers to entry. I learned that through doing. And I bootstrapped everything, right? And so I have, over the years, I would make a lot of money, and then I would sell, or I break my company up, or I sell my book of business, and then I'd move on to the next thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's business brokers that do that exact thing. And so what was underpinning, the most important thing to me was my relationship with Christ as it related to doing the thing that I felt like God was having me do. Because, Zach, I didn't have to do everything. I just needed to do the next thing. And that took a long time for me to learn, to Derek's point. Eventually, all the ideas have to solidify into something that's tangible for cash flow. We agree, Derek, without a doubt.
Because then it's just a hobby.
And it's an expensive hobby.
Correct.
And you're going to go hungry while you're doing your hobby. And so I had to learn, like everybody else, that, money in, money out, and then what you have left over after it's gone out is really what you're left with. And then looking at the value of that versus time spent. What's the value of my time? Which was, I learned this quickly. My time was the most perishable, time is the most perishable commodity. My time is very valuable. And so if I wasn't working towards leveraging my time for the most profitability that I could, that I was really just looking for the next thing while I was looking for the next thing. And so I really didn't want to do that. I realized that there were 5 kinds of people in America, and this was early in the 2000s. There's the very poor, the middle class, the rich, and the very rich. And out of those 5, the very poor, and the middle class don't think there's enough money. The rich and the very rich knows that there's plenty of money. There's $440 trillion in circulation, best known, and you could check this out by chat because that's where I got it, that there's $440 trillion worth of wealth around the world. So there's no lack of money. And out of the 5, there's 3 that work, 3 work for wages. The other 2 work for profits.
Mm.
And so my thing was, and I was, when I'm asking the Lord, because people that have people that are outside the box or above the box thinkers, they think asymmetrically, irregular, unconventionally, then we can find a niche and exploit a market in a way that others can't. And so, and it really comes down to, for me, this is what it came down to. Lord, what did you tell me to do? What did you tell me to do? Well, I want you to go in business. Great. What business? Well, the Bible says whatever your hand finds to do, you do it, and it'll be blessed. The Bible says whatsoever your hand finds to do, you do it, and it'll be blessed. The issue, and I got to tell you, people need to shut off the nattering nabobs of negativity in their life that are trying to tell them what God is telling them. I got news for you. My thumbprint is different from yours, which means God is not going to speak to me and you the same.
Right.
It's going to be different. And so in my life, I have had to shut down the voices of the nattering nabobs of negativity and just go.
What was
Sometimes,
your best practice to solidify that in your mind? Because so that's something I've struggled with my entire life. I had very realistic parents, very orderly parents, very structured parents, good parents, but also overly realistic parents, right? So there was a lot of don'ts, not capable, not your lane, blah 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 blah.
yeah,
And I actually went the other way, and I became an entrepreneur and all that kind of stuff too. And that's still to this day, even the knowledge of knowing that, the knowledge of listening to God, the knowledge of self-talk, I would say that's one of my largest internal struggles, is to keep that forefront and centered of ignoring those voices and ignoring those that negativity. What exercise, not exercise, it's a stupid word.
no, that's a good
What
word.
implementation really
Yeah.
was the thing that kept that solid for you? I mean, or is it just like relationships, you just have to put effort into it every day?
So it's a hybrid answer. So Romans chapter 12, verse 1 says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And you be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is the good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. This I say, therefore, that you should not think of yourself more highly than you ought, but you should think soberly, as God has dealt to every man the measure of faith to prove him out. So that is verbatim King James, Romans chapter 12, verse 1 through I think 4 or 5. The key part there is the be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That word transform, renewing your mind, that word transform comes from the Greek word metamorpho, which we get the word metamorphosis. So it was the transforming of my thinking to whatever is the thing that God has called me to do in that moment. So for instance, I have a lot of opportunities on my plate right now. Some of it is signal and some of it is noise. And it took me a long time to determine which one was which. And what I do every day, Derek, just to give you a perspective, is I get up at a particular time in the morning very early, and I do what I call go into the silence. And I will go into my courtyard and I will do some sensory deprivation. I put on noise headphones that are designed for high tempo shooting, so there's nothing that can come in. I put on sunglasses and the sun's not up, and I put on gloves. I completely devoid myself of sensitivity to the outside world. And what I will do is I will do this right here. I will let my thinking, this is my thinking. You can see all the programs that are up. And what I will do is I will let my thinking run wild, and then I'll clear it. Then I will clear it. I will clear it. I will clear it. And what will happen is, as I think whatever I think, I will let my mind run wild. It will be stuff from when I was 6 years old to stuff yesterday to conversations I've had to music. And I just let it cycle through as I go into the silence. And this is science. And I'm married to a double doctor, a person with 2 doctorates in the behavioral sciences. So I'm on pretty solid ground here. She's in neuropathology and brain rewiring. And what I'll do is I will sit there, and what will happen is I don't resist the thought. I let the thought come and then clear. It's like an iPhone. You clear it, clear it, clear it. And all of a sudden, everything goes. And now the still small voice, that's him. He's the one that will give you every answer to every single thing and every single problem if you will call on him, and he will begin to give you your direction. And then I only do that. I don't do what I think is right. I do what the word says is wise. The Bible says in Proverbs 24:3, through wisdom is a house builded, and by understanding it is established. And I don't rely on my own thinking. My life is a movie. You don't have 5 days, 24 hours a day to hear about the people I meet and the opportunities I've had, from the most well-known people on this planet to the least people on this planet. My life is a movie. Zach knows me better than almost anybody else as a person. And the opportunities that I have, within the last year, I've been connected to movie studio owners from Irvine, California, down in Palm Beach. I've been connected with people who could connect me with the man in this country who has the greatest authority of anybody in this nation. I've had an opportunity to meet that guy 4 separate times and said no. I can't tell you the people that I've met. Opportunities come my way all the time. And I'm not bragging. I'm simply saying that hearts and minds are like parachutes. I'm open. And so I'm not into convention. I'm not into conventional thought. I'm not interested in conventional thought. I'm not like everybody else. And I'm not going to live my life like everybody else. Now, having said that, I got employees to pay. I have bills to pay. I have things that I have to do. So having all these opportunities right here could be a distraction if I have the shiny ball syndrome. To your point, it's a very good way to express that. The first thing that God gave me in the last 6 years is the thing that I have to focus on. I have an incredible wedding venue, Italian themed Tuscan wedding venue in the Great Smoky Mountains. We can have up to 350 people. It's absolutely amazing. If I was not cognizant, as you said, of focus, that was the thing that God gave me. I could run headlong with these studio owner relationships and try to make myself famous if that's what I wanted to do. But I realized that that's more of a noise than a signal. My signal right now is I have to stay focused. Because I have a great team, it allows me free time to do other things and explore other opportunities, which I do. And so because of that, having people around me who are better than me, who have more business acumen than I do, or at least equal to my acumen, and trusting them in the process. One of the things about leadership in business that is abhorrent is that you don't trust the people that you're actually surrounded by. And if you're a Christian and God has surrounded you with people, by golly, he intends that you should trust them. And more than trusting them, you should trust him with them. And so I'm really different that way. I'm really, really different that way. So I spend time in quiet. I do it every day. I start my day off right. It's not so much self-talk as it is this Joshua 1:8, this book of the law shall not depart out of my mouth, but I will meditate therein day and night, that I may observe to do all that is written therein. And then I will make my way prosperous, and then I will have good success. The Bible actually tells you how to have prosperity and success. You meditate in the law day and night. You do everything that is written therein to your best ability, and then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. And I know billionaires who got their finance and got their money by trusting God and bootstrapping and doing the thing. They don't live crazy lives out there, but they're doing good things. And so I take that to heart. Dude, I got kicked out of my house for giving my heart to Jesus. You think I'm turning my back on him because I need $5 or $8, $10 million? That is no money. And I told Zach, I said, if that's all the money that God has, I'm toast already. I'm already toast, bro, if that's all there is to have. But see, the Bible says your heart knows its own bitterness. God knows whether or not, your heart actually knows whether or not you trust God. Your heart actually knows whether or not you're playing around with him. Your heart actually knows whether or not you're just doing the dancing, you're giving the nod to God, you're showing up on Sunday, you're checking the box, you got your card, but he doesn't really know you. He doesn't care about any of that. He wants you. And once I understood that, even in business, he just wants me. He'll give me anything I ask him because he wants me. And if he has me, then when he does prosper me or bring prosperity to me, it won't destroy me, and it won't destroy everybody around me. I've said this to a lot of people. Money doesn't change anybody. Money only magnifies who you really are. That's what it does. It's a magnifying glass to what you were before it came. Because when money shows up, it allows you to be the jackass that you've always been, or the benevolent one, the quiet, stoic one.
It definitely amplifies you because, like, you don't feel bound by anything, and sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's like this, like sometimes it's like being drunk, like it's like you think you're limitless, right? And then all of a sudden,
liquid courage. Yeah.
I kind of probably have explained that to you before, Zach, the first time I had that, and dude, like I could get up on stage and do a comedy routine. Like the confidence is insane, right? But depends what the backbone is, and in that case, the backbone wasn't right. So, you get back down on your knees and you kind of start over from scratch.
And let me say this too, if I could, real quick, if
Sure.
you don't mind, brother. I apologize. One of the things that I realized too was this huge pushback of a benevolent in Christian society in business, right? This huge pushback of a benevolent God that actually wants to prosper you versus you barely survive as an example or a bellwether of who God is. And it's amazing to me in the Christian community as a believer, how one of the biggest taboos is prosperity. It's absolutely crazy, and the people that have the biggest problem with prosperity messages, these people themselves have 401ks. They're buying their house, trying to get debt free. And they have investments. I don't know if anybody has told them this, but that's prosperity.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so and really understanding the widget of business and God's intention for business, for revenue.
Right.
Revenue is a servant. It's not an enslaver for most of us.
Right.
And I can say this as it's been this way for me at times. It enslaves you. It dominates your emotion. It causes you to think things you ought not to think and to react in ways that you ought not to react. And I made a decision many years ago. I said, Lord, no matter what I do or don't have, I don't want emotions to be a part of, I don't want money to be a part of my emotional makeup, right? I wanted a solid EQ. I wanted emotional intelligence as best that I could. I'm in a growth posture, right? I haven't arrived, but I've sure left.
How'd you get out of that? How did you get out of that enslavement? Because
brother,
I went from stewardship to enslavement, and now I'm like, well, how do I get back to that with the right backbone?
Right. So that's a great question. So the way that you go from that, and first of all, the line is real thin and it's easy to move one to the other.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have some of the most paranoid lunatic people I know are worth hundreds of millions of dollars as enslaved. So the line is so thin. So how do you do that is you take money off the table as a thing, because whatever you look up to is looking down on you. So when people are looking up at money, it's looking down on them. What you do is you just recenter yourself. Okay, Lord, here's where I am. I'm saying yes to whatever it is. It does not matter. You tell me what to do and I will do it, because salvation is not in the repentance of sin. It's calling him Lord. He cannot forgive something for somebody that doesn't belong to him. The Bible says in the Romans 10:9 and 10, that if you confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus, it's the only scripture in the whole of the Bible that tells us actually how to get saved. It says you confess with your mouth that he is Lord, and then you believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, and confession is made unto salvation. Nowhere in that does it say anything. This talking about the sin, repentance, and all that. That's another conversation. I'm just talking about you submit your heart to him, you give it back to him because something else has taken the place of him, right? So the throne of your heart, it has his butt prints in it. The throne of your heart has his cheek prints in it. He's the only thing that should be sitting there. And if you are sitting there, or money is sitting there, you are in the wrong seat, or that money is in the wrong seat.
Right.
That's the bottom line. So the way that you do that is you admit to it. You know what, Lord, I've made this. I went from, very well said, by the way, Derek, I went from servant to enslaving, and now I'm in trouble. Well, God is at least as good as GPS, Derek. he's at least as good as GPS. No matter how far off track anybody's gotten, he will recalculate and get you back on your path. Oh, and by the way, he's not going to put you on the path where you were. He will recalculate and put you on the path where you always would have been, but with less trouble had you not gone off course. That's the good thing about the Father's love in business. I advocate for people that want to do something with God in business to throw all caution to the wind, get courageous, ask him what it is, and then trust him for the
I mean, I have to be honest, I kind of have thought about that for the past over a year. I mean, Zach and I got more close probably like a year and a half ago. And honestly, over the last year, searching for that and turning from being the statement maker to the listener and learning that lesson, it honestly, for a while now, and I haven't told Zach this, but it's kind of like, God, this is all like full circle here. Cause you're like, there's a stigma in business. And I think that's changing. I really think that's changing because of how many different independent channels there are and how many people are outspoken about that being the core component of their, worldly financial success, because they see it as stewardship and they listen. Right. And it's kind of been on my heart for a while now to be like, that's kind of the direction of this channel. It really is, like, in terms of business, but how faith plays into that too. And I think that's a mainstream thing now, and maybe it's just the things I watch and listen to now. But I mean, I think that stigma's changing. That you discussed that it's a bad thing. It's not, right? It's stewardship.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I've been outspoken about being a believer, especially in business as it relates. I'm going to do the best job I can.
I don't think the whole that guy's a wackadoodle thing has solid ground anymore. It's really changing, because I think there's a lot of people who have really been outspoken about that weren't in the past, before there was a lot of independent, journalism and YouTube and different ways of getting your information now, who've been more outspoken about it. And I think I really do see it as becoming more full circle mainstream commonality rather than an exception where those two go hand in hand.
Right.
I'm very convicted of that. Most people I hear say, it's not in the same words as you, Bob, but similarities, like, hey, it's about listening.
Right. Well, and I have to agree that you're right. I have seen, and maybe it's what attracts to us because it's what we watch or whatever, but a lot more famous people are very outspoken about their relationship with the Lord, and they're giving him thanks because they got there because he brought them there. It's not they didn't do it, like back in the day. How I watched this one kid who he goes around and he interviews millionaires and billionaires.
School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, School of Hard Knocks.
He's trying to sell us a course right now.
He is all the he's trying to sell his course.
But I love him. I love it. He's awesome.
He goes up and he'll talk to different people. And I love when, like, I saw him interviewing the quarterback for I can't remember who it was. And he said, "Hey, when did you make his first question is always like, when did you make your first million?" And the kid said, I was 21. He goes, "And how did you do it?" He acts like he doesn't know them. I mean, he knows who they are. They have to set up. He doesn't walk up.
Right.
But
he is a great interviewer.
He goes, I became an NFL player, and he goes, well, how did you do that? He goes, I give thanks to the one and only Lord Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. He goes, that's the only reason why I'm here today. The only reason I made my money. Like, maybe 10 years ago, I don't know that you would have heard.
Right. It was, I mean, you would have heard athletes at the press conference, like, I'm giving the glory.
They say, oh, thank God, whatever. This movie stars, thank God. Who do you think, what God? This
but where's their heart? And that's what I think is changing.
It's far greater than saying, I want to thank God.
I think there's more heartfelt truth that's going around. Yeah. Like a big one that struck me that he did was Myron Golden. I don't know if you know who that is, but
I don't.
He's an entrepreneur.
He doesn't know me, so it's okay.
If you saw him, he's a black guy with a gray beard. He lives in Tampa. He's a very well-known billionaire entrepreneur. I don't know if Bob knows who that is, but he was pretty outspoken on James's channel about his faith, and boy, I was trying to pull it up to show you, but I kind of suck at it.
Then he also interviewed a guy who's very famous legal guy here that we might know of, and who's a billionaire, and he was a completely different guy. So he didn't give thanks to God at all. So you see that it's funny. You see it.
This dude.
You gonna show me a picture of him?
Yeah. You don't recognize him?
I do.
Okay.
I don't know that I've actually sat and listened to him. Maybe.
I've just seen a lot of more like, now that mainstream really isn't as mainstream anymore, and there are channels like School of Hard Knocks and, like Nick Shirley and more independent reporters that are getting a lot more attention now. I see a lot more reality of faith and business going hand in hand than what used to be your wackadoodle. If you ignore the financials and go for God. And now I think people are starting to finally understand that, like, when they say, like, always trust your gut, always trust yourself. Even if you go to a doctor and something's wrong, they don't find anything, trust your gut. Well, God goes hand in hand with that. If your heart's in the right place.
Right. Bob, would you equate, and I know what your answer is. So would you equate all your success, and maybe even some successes that wasn't as great as you thought it was going to be, 100% to God?
Yes, of course.
How about failures?
Well, so first of all, the Lord didn't do it without me.
Right.
I'm on solid biblical ground.
Right.
I don't care how many apples you pick that day. You can thank God for strengthening you, but you're the one that picked the daggone apples.
Correct.
Right. So just for everybody to understand, it's a co-laboring partnership between you and the Heavenly Father. You have to listen to him, and he has to trust you to do the work when he gives you the vision.
Would you say that if a vision you got failed, how would that impact your thought?
I screwed up.
Okay. It wasn't, that was just a vision that I thought I should be doing, and maybe it wasn't God after all. It was just...
That's still screwing up.
Yeah. Okay. I mean...
Maybe the question should have been, how do you know the vision is really, from God?
Well, if it sticks with you for a while, if it stays with you, you can't shake it.
If it's eating at you, if it keeps popping up in your, like I said with the show direction, Zach, like that keeps popping up in my head. Like, wow, some of our best conversations were with like high profile, high faith people, whether in business or like social media. I'm like that. And like, I really enjoy those conversations. And I think people are waking up to those conversations. I think those are things people want to hear. And it just keeps coming up. Like, that's what we should focus on. That's what we should focus on. And like, it's not every second of every day, but it's probably once every 3 days, where it's just like, that's the conversations we should be having, and we shouldn't be ashamed of that. We should be like really excited to dive into that and discover other beliefs and share what yours are, and just same type of thing you're talking about. Like it keeps itching at you, it keeps pulling at you.
Well, I think I told you that was the direction I wanted the show to go in, and then unfortunately after Charlie Kirk, got assassinated, I said, it's time to be bold. Let's just do this.
Right.
And I believe, all right, and we touched on this a little bit. There's a lot of Christians that are maybe scared or uneducated in prosperity, or think it's a bad word because they got taught that. And I think that people need to see, okay, there's successful businessmen like yourself who give their life to God 100%. And it's not about the money. It's about doing what the Father wants you to do.
Right.
Versus, then thinking, oh, well, money's dirty. It's, of the world. It's Satan, blah, blah, blah. It's not, because obviously, ma'am or sir, you need your lights to stay on. You have to go to work to get money to pay for that. So why not make extra? And bless people.
Right. And truly, most of the pushback comes from examples that people have seen that rightly so. I mean, they look at, they see the lifestyle of the folks that, and look, I'm not against, if you're a pastor in a 10,000 member church, I'm not against a healthy salary, no different than if you ran a company with 10,000 employees. I don't have a problem with that. Here's where my issue might come in as a believer. If somebody walks in the back of the church that needs diapers and formula and needs their rent paid, don't send them to the government to do the thing that the church ought to be doing. Don't send them down there. I don't think the Father's intent was ever that the government that the secular government was going to provide for people. I don't believe that that was his intent. And so, money has a reason. Money has a reason to exist. It has a reason to serve, and it has to serve. In my case, money has to serve the interests of God's kingdom based on where He tells me. Now, does that mean that I have to live off like a pauper? No. If I'm the one earning the money, I can do whatever I want to with it. It's nobody's business between me and the Lord. And first of all, nobody knows what I make anyways. I mean, you don't know what I make.
I don't.
Right. So nobody has a clue. Nobody knows what's going on over here. I don't live above my means, but I don't live below my means. I do live below my means. I mean, I could live a different life, but I don't value money the way others value money. I don't see money as my end game. I have to be profit focused because I'm in business. Like, I have to be profit focused. I do have some investors have a fiduciary responsibility to return a profit to my investors in a timely manner. I have to do that. It's my responsibility to them.
Yes.
But money is the byproduct of things. It's not the thing to be pursued. I'm not pursuing money. I'm pursuing good business. And then by pursuing good business, revenue generation will be the result. And I watch numbers. I watch numbers every single day. I'm not a micromanager. Money has to do what it's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And so for me, the way that I look at money, because I see money as not as finite, I see money as infinitely limited, because the Father that I serve is limitless. Well, if you really believe that, then get some courage and put your life where your mouth is, not your money where you put your life, put yourself if you know that God is telling you to do something, then by golly, when's the best time to do it? Right now.
Right.
And don't worry about the naysayers. There are wrong prosperity messages out there. There's tons of them, but there is a biblically right message on prosperity. And a lot of these same guys, and you could tell I get a little exercised over it, but there's a lot of these guys that are talking about this. And I'm like, well, I'm just curious. You don't believe that God, the prosperity, you believe the prosperity message is wrong. Great. All right. Well, let me ask you this. You have children. I do have children. Great. You got sons or daughters? I got one son and one daughter. You want your son to get married? I do. You want him to go to college, go to college, get married? I do. All right. You want him to get a good job? Best job he can get. You want him to buy a house? I do. You want children? Yes. You want them to provide for their education? Yes. Well, I don't know if you figure this out, bro, but that's going to take prosperity, success. What you're trying to do is you're asking for an unsalted hamburger that tastes like it has salt on it.
Not to interrupt you, Bob, but to contribute to, are these people of faith?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So let me get this straight. What you're saying is there are people of faith who have never read the parable of the talents in their entire life.
No, they've read it.
Okay, so that is so basic at the age of 4.
Right. Agreed.
It's not the amount, it's what you're entrusted and how you do it to what you will return.
Right.
Is just a simple message of stewardship.
That's all it is.
That's the first time you learn that money isn't the root of all evil. It actually can create prosperity, job creation, growth, feed people, but it could expand, like you said, infinitely. How can you, man, I don't want to be mean or negative. How can you be a Christian and not understand the parable of the talents? I don't get it. Just real question. I'm not saying they are not a Christian. I'm just saying, isn't that really basic? Like prosperity is a good thing. It's how it's used. It's the focus. It's where it comes from. It's the longevity of it. If it's eternal or temporary, there's so many elements to it, but it's a positive thing. It's a positive thing.
It's subjective and it's also subjective. It's also
it just needs to be used right.
Right. I agree. But
it's a vessel.
Success and prosperity can be defined in a lot of different ways.
Sure.
I'm speaking specifically, and this is what the thing that I get. Well, prosperity, God, the name it, claim it, crown, all that stuff. Let me tell you something. everybody, if you're going to get a new pair of shoes, and you're going to have to have some sort of level of prosperity. I mean, there's going to have to be that. And there are different ways to sum up and define prosperity. If you have a good family life, your wife loves you, your children love you, your bills are paid,
Right.
and you're able to, do things in life. You can take a vacation once a year, and you're putting a little aside. You're a prosperous man.
Right.
The Lord entrusts in the hands of his people what they need to do the job that he's asked them to do. If you have a global ministry call on your life, and you are literally called to reach the nations, you are going to need nation reaching money. Franklin Graham feeds the nations with Samaritan's purse. I don't know if anybody understands this. If he's not prosperous, nobody's getting fed. If the people that are sending him money don't have prosperity, they can't send finance. It's been the abuse, and I understand it. It's the abuse and the misuse of the stewardship.
I see the problem is like how we look at money. It's like it's a vessel, right? It creates growth and prosperity. But from now, when personally, I've been this way a long time, and
mess with this.
I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
When you're looking at your selfish definition of prosperity, if I want to just say what is prosperity to me from a selfish, involving no one else but my level of, it's pretty much just time. Right? Mm-hmm. If I was broke but living off the land in a sunny land where I was happy and I didn't answer to anyone, I could do what I wanted and had no money, that's prosperity. If I got
40 acres, I could sell you 40 acres.
But what I'm saying is time in terms of having the freedom to do what you want to do when you want to do it, to me is selfish personal prosperity. But
nothing wrong with that at all.
Well, I think it's the only reason, from a selfish, not from a world reach aspect, not from an outreach aspect, but from a selfish, what do I want for my life? I don't really know anyone ever who, if they really understand what prosperity is, wouldn't say it's freedom of my time. It's freedom of your time. And sometimes you do things with a lot of resources, and sometimes it doesn't require any, but freedom of your time is prosperity. Now, money is a vessel to get that for multiple people, or to make that possible for other people, right? Or to do those things. I don't think the money is your personal definition of prosperity per se, because if you're enslaved to it and you don't have freedom of time, you're really not successful. Like, okay, great, you have money.
Then you're a slave.
Right, but I would say if I had tons more money and I was enslaved to it, I would not feel successful no matter how many zeros kept coming up. It wouldn't matter. So it always confuses me how people can get that mixed in terms of how stewardship of talents works.
I think one of the coolest things,
it's not, it's two wrong paths that we're going down. Like, money is a necessary vessel to create those things that you discussed, those outreaches, those feeding people, those jobs, all of those things. But from a personal aspect, we want to be free.
Right. And I think now this is, maybe people look at prosper, whatever. One of the coolest things when Lorianne and I first started dating, one of the things we said was we could be filthy rich, have everything we want, everything's paid for, and don't like each other and can't stand each other and not want to be together. Or we could be dirt poor, living in a hut and be madly in love. That to me would be prosperity, because then my relationship is flowering, right? People more, I shouldn't say, a lot of rich people I know are not happy because they've made money their God, right? The most misused verse in the Bible is love of money is the root of all evil.
Yeah, I don't know Bob, are there any rich people who have the sole purpose of getting more money and nothing else that are truly happy?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can you think of one person who
no,
it's just the dollar amount and the zeros that they pursue that are truly happy?
And how many, like, okay, I watched a show called Landman. I don't know if you ever watched it. But it's a good show.
Oh, anyway, yeah. Why did I just see that somewhere?
It's with Billy Bob Thornton. It's what's his name? Taylor Sheridan show.
Sling Blade.
it is a little Sling Blade.
Sling Blade is doing another show. That's a hard pass.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to be out of that.
I like fried matter. Mm-hmm. Fried maters.
Yeah, I'm out.
So his boss is a billionaire who owns a bunch of, they're oil tycoons. And all the guy cares about is making more and more and more. And why? And literally, and I'm not going to, ruin the show for you, but you'll see his health just go to diminishment. And here's this guy who's a billionaire who, is miserable because of his health. Right. But then you see the poor oil worker who goes home to his family every day, and they're madly in love and having a great day. And, they're struggling to pay the bills, but yet the wife would come over and go, honey, don't worry about it. We got it. We're together. That's all that matters.
So is God blessing that guy because he creates the wealth and feeds the guy who is truly happy?
But he's not recognizing that God's blessing him. So I think God.
Right. No, but if the miserable guy didn't exist, the other guy wouldn't have that opportunity. So is that the reason? I'm trying to ask Bob, why does God bless those people? Or did they just find something that works and now they're just eternally miserable?
Because in the book of...
or is it because they are unintentionally blessing someone else by that? It's just not intentional, so it's coincidental.
In the book of Luke, chapter 2, verse 9, on the birth of Christ, the angel showed up and said... the angel said, born to you this day as a Savior. And right after that, it's in Luke chapter 2, verse 9. You can read it. And right after that, he said, and the Holy Host appeared with the angel and said, on earth, peace and goodwill toward men. Those holy hosts instituted the goodwill of God toward all men, whether they know him or not. I can prove this by the word in its context. The birth of Christ is the most seminal moment in the history of mankind, and I can prove it. Above all other stories in the Bible, I can prove the birth is the most seminal of moments, and we have relegated this story to Charles Schulz and the peanut and the peanut people. It is absolutely amazing. If you understood that most of the Old Testament was written about his birth, if you just knew about why he was born, why they called him a savior on his birth, and why those holy hosts who were surrounding the throne left the throne for the first time in all of known history of eternity. They left the throne and made an announcement, not on his resurrection, not on his crucifixion, on his birth. All those that surrounded the throne and said, holy, 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 holy is the Lord. The reason why unscrupulous people can get rich is because those people surrounding the throne had a message from the throne. And they came from the throne and said, on earth, peace and goodwill toward all. I looked up that word all. It means all, absence of none. Goodwill toward all men. Not creed, not color. So right now in this world is God's goodwill towards all men. Whether you know him or not, you can participate in his goodwill. The proof of that is if you live in a house made with wood, he planted the Garden of Eden. So you're living with the goodwill of God any way you look at it, saved or not, know him or not. So this is why money is benign. It's not there in the book of Proverbs. I think it's chapter 3. It could be chapter 4, but it's right in there. And it says that wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all that getting, get understanding. It says in her right hand is riches. Is length of days. And her left hand is riches and honor. The three biggest pursuits of all of mankind are a long life, riches and honor, riches, and the respect of my peer group, my friends. So the two things that are in the hands of wisdom as a person, wisdom is actually a person. The two hands are possessing the three pursuits of all of mankind. And what men do is they do this. They go to the hands and they start taking the things out of the hands. No, if you pursue wisdom, The attribute comes with the pursuit. So you said they are empty people because they're making that much money or those kind of things. All right. This is exactly your point.
Because there's nowhere for those things to thrive in them if they don't have the wisdom.
Brother, it is, if you could buy, think about it right now. Somebody flipped the switch on you and you had $500 billion and you went on a 36-month bender. You bought everything, you were the apex predator of all apex predators in the financial world. What would be left for you to accomplish, seeing that nothing is outside of your hand? What would you do?
I don't know. I wouldn't do anything right away. I'd listen. I'd be like, okay, shut up. Right. What am I supposed to do?
Right.
I'd be scared.
Right. You would reach a point of satiation where you realize the very thing that I pursued that I thought I wanted, I never really wanted.
No.
All of mankind wants to be known. All of mankind wants to be known. We have a hole in our heart that's looking to be known by the one that made us. We have a drive to be known. And the only thing that we can fill that with, as you said, are shiny balls, which probably shouldn't be said.
It's supposed to be shiny objects.
Well,
but
it's just that Zach likes balls.
He said,
oh boy, here we go.
No, he said it. I heard him earlier. But my point is, when it comes to business, and here's another thing too. Like I do a fair amount of consulting, government agencies. I've consulted to government contracting firms, a wide array of consulting. And I usually get about a gig a year, sometimes 2 a year. And we drive hard between a 4 and 10X. We drive hard between a 4 and 10X. We don't do change management that takes a quarter, 3 quarters. Nope. We're fast movers. We do short sprints. Anybody that knows anything about Scrum know exactly what I'm saying. And so I do this, as I consult, to people, I try to narrow down the very thing that they are looking for. That's actually not more business. It's just more meaning. Most of them are looking for more meaning, and they're trying to get meaning by winning in the marketplace in a dominating way to the exclusion of their competitors, which are actually why they have success. If you have a monopoly, you don't really have true success. I mean, that's not success. It's the advent of competition that brings success. You're able to compete in the fair marketplace. And so when I'm consulting to these companies, I am really dealing at a pathos and an ethos level when I'm dealing with these people of why they are doing what they're doing and what that means once they get to the place that they're trying to get to. And I have found that most of them are just trying, to your point, Derek, they're just trying to get more. And there's nothing wrong with getting more. It's what are you going to do with your life once you've gotten everything?
Unless your path is continually to get more.
Well, there's
nothing wrong with getting more unless your only answer is getting more. It's like,
yeah.
It's like they're never content. Like the best line ever is never satisfied, always content, right? I mean,
well, you know what? There's a scripture that says you shouldn't build bigger barns to store up more stuff, to build bigger barns to store up more stuff.
Right.
There's actually
what do you need the stuff for? What's the stuff supposed to do?
Well, no, it's you don't build the bigger barn to store up more money, to build a bigger barn to get more money to store it up. Money has a purpose, and you have
What's the money supposed to do?
That's exactly right.
Right. And when you can define that and utilize that, the barn can get huge, but it's going to keep getting emptied. And
cyclical, man.
Yeah.
We can go on for hours, but we don't have hours. So that's the whole thing.
I mean, we do.
We do, but we don't.
Dude, I'm sitting in your studio 30 miles from my house.
Derek has to go run with his wife.
You guys can go for hours if you want.
Dude.
Huh?
Are you running?
Yeah.
He's not running in this cold weather.
He does. He runs every night.
I will.
Well, do more than 3 miles. Stop playing around, bro.
9 or 10 usually.
All right.
Ain't bad. Dude, my wife puts on like 70 a week, dude. That's, I mean,
Yeah.
like the pro marathoners are about 130, 140, you know, that's like the hardcore of the world, you know, other than the 200-mile mega race shit. But like, that's a lot by the
I
average
know.
man's standards, I would say, right?
No, it's a lot by anybody's standards. I got bit by a brown recluse spider last April, and I was doing 90 miles a week working for the ultra marathon. I run ultras. I know exactly what you're saying. I know the temperament speed. I'm a zone 2 trainer. I'm not going to break any land speed records, but you can believe this. I'm coming in under the wire. I'm definitely going to, I'm probably not going to win, but I'm not going to be in the back of the pack either. And so I'm at the 34, I'm at the 32, the 32, the 50, 64, 75 mile deal. My goal is to do the Outer Banks 240 is 240 miles. That's my goal. And I had to stop and I had to stop running for 8 months. I had to. I almost lost my left leg last year.
From the spider?
From a brown recluse spider.
It looked like a big puffy yam.
That's insane, man.
Yep. And I did not go to the doctor either, brother. Not once. I stood in faith. I said, Lord, you promised me healing. By his stripes, I was healed. You promised me, and I'm going to stand in faith. And the enemy came and spoke to me multiple times in my thinking and said, you could lose your leg. And I said, if there's a hill worthy to die on, this is the hill. That's okay. I said, but I won't lose my leg. He remembers he was there the whole time. My legs swelled up the size of your head. And Derek, not for
That's
nothing,
pretty big.
You got a huge melon. Yeah, you are rocking. Like it's like unfortunate. It's so big. It's horrible to look at, frankly. No kidding. No, come on now. But I had to,
Like if he was to tattoo his forehead, he could use it as a billboard.
maybe a 6.
I know.
So,
It's a 5. Come on, 5.
whatever. Sorry.
Hey,
Five
Derek,
and
we
a
can
half.
make some money. Let's sell that real estate. Anyway,
Rent it out to Ukraine. Rent it out to Ukraine. I think they don't have a lot of billboards left. Wow. That was,
we went sideways on that.
There's the YouTube ban for the night.
So, all right, let's get back to business real quick.
well, tell me what to do.
I will.
Okay. It's your show. So
It is so.
I apologize.
All right.
Yep.
This is how we play every day, so bear with us. All right. Kind of a rapid fire round real quick. Out of all the businesses you have run and owned, what was your favorite?
Weddings and events. DJ. I had a DJ company, weddings and events, lighting, sound, rentals. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. The ROI is 89% if you're a dummy, 110% if you do it right.
Then would that be the next question? Would that be the one you made the most money in?
No.
What was the one you made the most money in?
I wrote a compensation plan for a network marketing company and then sold it.
Wow. Okay.
And then the next thing I made the most money in was stocks.
Okay.
Yeah. So you remember in 2020 when all the movie theater stocks went down? Listen up, everybody. This is where courage comes in. My gut told me to buy movie theater stocks, and I bought them for 55 cents a share. I bought so much. I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. I bought a movie theater stock. I bought so much in one day. I carried 25% of the global volume of purchase in a day. It was stick out.
He's the guy behind all the GameStop stuff during COVID.
I am not. No,
He's the inflationary.
My wife bought a stock she jumped in and bought a stock for 11 cents that went to $28 in about 4 days.
Oh, that's good.
Good.
So for me, it's about speed. Speed is key. The spirit likes speed. Inspiration needs speed. Trains don't stay at the station long. By the time somebody figures out the opportunity, the train is always already far down. It's too far down that you can't run that fast to catch it.
Yeah, timing is so important.
Yeah.
I'm horrible at timing. I'm great at business. I'm horrible at timing, and that's a problem.
Yeah, but courage, man. Courage. I'm not saying I'm fearless, but I don't let fear stand in my way. Fear's healthy, right? I mean, there's a reason you don't lean over, the Empire State Building when the wind's blowing.
Yeah, it keeps you alive.
Yeah, it keeps you alive. I mean,
right. Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, all right.
Okay. What was the one you had the most fun in?
DJing, entertainment. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely amazing.
What is the largest company you own? How many employees?
Probably the one now.
That's bigger than car washes?
Yeah, because we were just, we had five mobile units, we had 5 mobile units. We had 8 at one time. I sold 3 of the fixed units, Bellinger Blue Coral equipment, sold those off, went completely to mobile, and they were 3 people per van. So 5, 15. And at any one time I could have 35, 40 employees now. Yeah.
Someone's looking to get into entrepreneurism. What would be your wisdom to the route they follow?
Do what you want to do, not what you have to do. Do what you want to do, not what you have to do. And find a way to turn your passion into your payroll, right? You want your passion to become your pay, and use goods. So this is where I'm about to scratch Derek behind the ear. You have to have solid business practice, get with somebody that can mentor you, understand what the difference between bootstrapping, you're going to bootstrap, where you're going to go, how you're going to get there. Standards and procedures, methodologies are important. Discipline, not motivation. You don't need inspiration. Well, first you're inspired. Then once you get motivated, you need discipline, because discipline is what you have after the motivation is gone. And discipline is the thing that'll keep you on track. And you have to narrow focus your deal at first, to his point, so that you can hit the mark. Once you hit the mark, and then other avenues open up, because now you're like a magnet. You're drawing people to you. Once the right people are drawn to you, then you can explore the things that you're passionate about. Also, don't spend the money before you make it. So I know a lot of people that know how they're going to spend the money. They just don't they don't have any idea how they're going to make the money. Mm-hmm. I've consulted to so many companies. They're like, yeah, once we hit this next, we push through this barrier, we need a gap analysis. And here's what I say, dude, you have spent money that you don't have. You're already trying to, that's not how this works. First you earn the money, then you find a place to put the money. I mean, you can, along the route, you can make those plans, but you don't spend the money before you made the money.
I mean, it's sad how many people just don't realize that boring execution creates that. Right. I mean, obviously you have to have a plan. Obviously you have to have a strategy. Obviously you have to have discipline. But the thing that creates all of that is the boring day in, day out execution without thinking.
Dude, it's the day in, it's the day, and it's not grind. See, eventually what has to happen is, if you're on the grind all the time, you get worn down. Grinders wear things down, and the grind will wear you down. There's a difference between grind and grit. You need to get off the grind and get on the grit, which means you're just going to stick to it until it works. And you don't put yourself in a negative situation quicker than you're supposed to be. Every business is going to have cash flow situations that they have to work through as part of maturity. You're going to have payroll issues. It's part of maturity. You're going to have things that you cannot see. Things are going to come up. You have to be able to shift and pivot, make a decision, and then stick with what you decide. Learn the lesson, and then add it to your book of maturity. And it's not easy. It's absolutely not. One of the toughest things in life is, I'm just telling you, one of the toughest things in life is having enough money to write a check to somebody over there, and you could change 2 generations, 3 generations of their family. You could change 3 generations, but you're not God. You can't act like you're him just because you can write a check and change their destiny as if he told you that. So knowing what to do with the money is so important, to Derek's point, knowing what to do with it. Oh, and by the way, don't go out and buy super high-end cars. You can lose your tail. Get assets that accrue and that grow, and stop with the depreciating assets. It's an absolute waste of time. If you got a bucket list car that you want to buy and it's a once or twice deal, and you got what I call giggly money, just so much money you're giggling, then go out and do that. But realize it's going to take gas. You're still going to have to maintain it, and it's going to get.
I have cars and work on cars, and I hate cars.
Yeah, dude.
I hate them. They're so stupid, but yet I have them and work on them. But I hate
one of the wisest things, and to what you were saying, was don't buy things that depreciate, lease them. Most people think, oh, I'm making mega bucks, I can go buy my Mercedes now. Or no, every businessman I ever met,
I've made
leased his
lots of
car
money
and rode around.
off leasing things too, just by having a high mileage lease, keeping it in mint condition, and driving it low miles, and having more equity in the vehicle when I turn it in, and then stiff arming dealers into giving me 10, 20 grand of trade in money. Or I just say, no problem, I'll go buy it down at the county and then resell it to you. Like you could actually make money on. I mean, the market's got to be right. Your cash flow has to be right. Your mentality has to be right. Like a lot of things have to be in line. But like people don't realize, like, because I used to be like the person who's like, that's the stupidest thing in the entire world. Why would you ever do that? I'm going to buy a 5-year-old car that's depreciated, and that's true, but it's going to take more of your time, right? If you're driving high mileage. But there are situations you can put yourself in where you can actually make money off leases too. So it's just, I think it's relevant to like where you are, what the wise thing is to do necessarily when it comes to both cash flow and time.
Well, I learned that when I worked in the luxury automobile industry, and the majority of the people who leased the brand that I sold up north was a what we used to call a beach car or a summer car.
Mm-hmm.
They used it, or the train cars. They would literally drive from their house to the train station, which was like 3 blocks away, right? But they leased it, and they would come in every 36 months and have like 4,000 miles on the car and trade it in and get another one. Mm-hmm. And they would get money, and to the point where their lease would be like
it would be paid for up front.
It was ridiculous.
I mean, you do that 4 or 5 times, and you come back with 10 grand of equity. All of a sudden, your lease is free.
Exactly, 100%.
I'd like to put 100% down on this lease.
Yeah,
but then is that smart, right? So I mean, there's something. I think if you have a ton of money and no time, and you don't drive, and you get a nice lease, and the used car market is good, you could actually make money off that. It might be smart for you to do. Like you have to really know your situation and what the right thing is to do.
I think if I had a ton of money and no time and I had to get places, I would just hire a drive service.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I mean, but we call that Uber.
Exactly. I just work in the back of the car.
No.
Get an Uber X.
Call a Lyft.
Okay. Let me ask you, on a lot of guys I watch, a lot of entrepreneurs who have bootstrapped it from the ground. Gary V. I don't know if you know Gary V.
No, but he doesn't know me either.
Right.
So
That's right. There's that.
Yeah, he don't know.
He might after tonight.
Probably not.
Probably not.
That's okay.
Hopefully. Yeah. That'd be great.
It would be great.
He thinks a lot of guys now out there are really pushing, school is a bunch of baloney. Don't go to school. Just do what you got to do and make your money. I'm leaning towards that, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you have a niche. Look, there's people who need to go to school, in my opinion. Lawyers, doctors,
professional services. Tradesmen,
obviously, stuff like that. But if you're going to go out there and you want to start a business, would you agree that school could be a waste of time? It's taking your money.
Okay, so everybody is different and everybody's thought process is different. Mm-hmm. And so if you're going to be in acquisitions and mergers, you better have an MBA.
Well, of course.
So my point is that the education has to have real value to the endeavor that you're looking to capitalize your time on.
Yeah, but then we have guys like our mutual friend who's a habitual scholar. Has what does he have? 2 doctorates, and now he's getting his going to go for the bar and become a lawyer.
Oh, sweet Jesus!
When did we have this conversation though that education is good or bad? It's just what the ROI is and what your joy is, right? I mean, I mean, I would love to go back for more school. I enjoy it now, but I can tell you when I did it my first time around, I wasn't interested. I didn't do well, and I dropped out. And then I went back and finished. And when I went back and finished, I was an A student, and it helped me. Like I was like, These 4 topics I learned in business school guide my business decisions and have made me 6 figures of money in different areas. I know what those 4 things are. So like, I don't get what this whole polarizing conversation of good or bad. No. It depends on you, the value you need to get out of it, right? And then
you find a unique little,
and then niche. also your fulfillment too. Like it doesn't always have to be ROI based. If you have resources and you find joy in doing this and learning things, that's a good thing too.
Right, but if you find that unique niche, like that guy we interviewed,
it's like traveling,
who cleans garages. Right.
Okay.
He didn't need to go to school, and he's making.
He didn't need to go to school, but if he went to business school and took a capstone management class that taught him the difference in how to price his business based if he's luxury or customer service or just quality based, and how to market that would help that would enhance his business. Absolutely. So I I don't buy that. Like there are concepts that will enhance your ability to do business. It doesn't substitute the hard knocks of doing it, but
Well, that's what professional certificates do for you.
Sure.
You can get professional certificates from any Ivy League school in America. So in 2012, living in North Carolina, in 2012, I ended up with the name of the dean of a business school in North Carolina, a very prominent, very, 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 very internationally prominent business school. And I ended up with her son's bar mitzvah as my client. And she was the dean of the business school at this very prominent school in North Carolina. And I got to know them over about a 9.5 month deal because my DJ company, my entertainment company, was providing everything. And bar and bat mitzvahs are big in the Jewish community. It's a big rite of passage, big celebration type deal. And we got about 6 months in, and she looked me right. She looked at me and she said, "Bob, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yes." She said, What is your education background?" I said, "Political science, government, criminology, history. That's my background." She said, "You don't have a business degree?" And I said, "No." She said, "But you are successful." And I said, "Some would say I am, yes." And she said, "But you've traveled the world." I said, "Yes, 35 countries." And "You've done business in those countries?" I said, "I've done business in a lot of those countries with multinational companies, government officials. Yes, I have." And she said, "Would you consider coming to this particular school, which is very, 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 very prominent?" And I said, "Okay." And I said, "For what?" She said, "An MBA." And I said, "All right." And I said, GMAT, GRE. She goes, "Yes, but we don't need the quants. Maybe you don't have to do the math portion, just an essay." I said, "All right." I said, "Well, what's the money?" 180 for 2 years, 180, 190, 220, 240, right in there. I said, 180 to 240. She goes, "Probably." And I said, "What am I going to do with that?" She said, "Well, what is your goal?" I said, "I don't have a goal." She said, "Our team would benefit from having you." And bear in mind, I got to know her over 9 total months, but this was about 6 months in of us talking business. She had her MBA from Harvard, so she was incredibly smart, very well versed individual, and we had robust and spirited business discussions, more from an intellectual academic standpoint, because I do understand the principles, the good principles of business, because I've read a lot of books and I've taken a lot of professional certificates myself. And she said, "Well, that depends upon what you want to do." And I said, what am I going to get with an MBA from here?" She said, 250, 300 a year. And I told her, I said, "Ma'am, with all due respect, this is what I'm making." And she said, "Well, then personal enrichment." And I said, "Hold up, sister." I said, "So you're telling me that I'm going to have to spend $250,000 over 2 years, have to be on campus because I have international experience, and your young business people could benefit for somebody being on this team, they call a team, at this darn near Ivy League school?" And she said, "Bob," she said, "I know people." She said, "I'm the dean of the school." And she wrote on the back, "Full admission." She said, "All I need is an essay." She said, "And you're in." And I said, "What about the money? And what about me paying for it?" And she said, "Well, we'll work that out, but I'd love to have you on the team." And I said no to it. I said, "Absolutely not." I said, "I don't have time. Frivolity is not a part of my
When
life."
did she answer the question of what value in that program will enhance what your currently vision is?
When did she answer?
I mean, we talked about, oh, here's what you can make income level. Who gives a shit? You're not.
Say it again. You're fading out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the issue I have with education. All of that you just described was very prominent sounding, but I never once heard this nugget of value from this program will enhance what you're doing and get you to where you want to be, that you are ignorant to at this point, but because you don't have that nugget of professional information. Like, that's the point. Like, what's the point? What in that program, what specific areas in that program are going to take what your vision is, maybe it is what it's now, maybe a larger vision, and enhance that to where you want it to be? All we're talking about is income. All we're talking about is personal enrichment. Those are great things, but they're not where you're at.
That's right.
So that's what I don't get from why does someone with an MBA not find that value proposition for you? Because in business, all we care about is value. Why say any other words?
Well, what she wanted from me.
That's what I don't understand.
the biggest takeaway for me was that because of my years of traveling the world and having done business around the world and with individuals, multinational companies and government officials, and have done business around the world in a lot of countries, she felt like that my value was greater towards the young business people that were going to be there than it was towards me. And I should just do it for personal enrichment, and because she said, well, then you should just, I said, then why would I do it? I said, if I don't ever want to use it and I'm good where I'm at, like I'm good. You ever heard somebody say, hey bro, do you want something? And you're like, no, I'm good. And I was like, no, I'm good. And she said, well then for personal enrichment. Now, she did provoke me to go to the Wharton School of Business and get, certificates in corporate finance and the different things that I've done, with different universities where I've gone and gotten, expanded my horizons and those kinds of things, because there is a level of education that you're only going to grow so far. You're only going to grow so far when it comes to business without some traditional business background training. It's just the way that it is. And because my long-term goal is to take my company public, and let me just go ahead and state that. So I'm in the process of getting assets and driving business so that I can put myself on the big board. So what happens when you go to the big board, when you move into that space, companies that buy big blocks of shares don't just buy you, they buy your whole C-suite and your VP team. And everybody that's there is going to have strong credential, especially at the COO, CFO, CTO, CIO level. It's just the bottom line. The CEO doesn't have to. I'm a founder. Screw you. Pardon my brevity. Screw you. I don't have to do anything. I'm a visionary, and that's the value of who I am. And everybody will agree that that's the case. Should we just say Bill Gates? So there's value to that. But the team that surrounds me have to have a underpinning pedigree that scratches the itch of the big block buyers on the street at Wall Street. That's it. Like there's no way they're going to, well, they're just a bunch of people from North Carolina that pulled tobacco when they were 9 years old. And this guy over here washed dishes, No, there is value to education for everybody to go to college if you would strip away the crap and just stick to what is critical to the degree. I've never had to explain a dangling participle to anybody on the street ever. I don't have to give you a quadratic equation, and I'm certainly not going to have a time and distance versus speed deal. It's an absolute colossal waste of time. Everybody knows it, and they need to get away with general college for at least a year of it and just do 2 years of concentration, 1 year of general college, and then move them on into society so that they can produce.
Yep.
That's just my,
I think that's a good.
Yeah. I'm not, look, trust me, bro, I've gotten into a lot of programs. I also got into a PhD program for theology, and I did it through an essay and through 3 months of interviews. And so I decided not to do that because my wife was going into her first doctorate. Then she graduated number one with her master's out of 30,000, number one with her first doctorate out of close to 30,000. And now she's a solid 4.0 on a three-peat that's going to graduate number one again. She already got her second doctorate in October awarded to her. She's already got her diploma, and she's going to walk the stage as a three-peat number one. And I had to make a decision. Was business accolade enough? Was it enough for me to know that I'm a son in the faith of Almighty God and I'm just her husband? Is that enough for me? You know what I said? That's enough for me. So I've let go of all my educational hopes and dreams, aspirations, so that she can accomplish. And to your point, Derek, that's where I find value. That is prosperity to me.
Mm-hmm.
That is prosperity to me. Everything else is just is part of the signal, but it's mostly noise. Money doesn't mean the same thing to me that it does for everybody else. I can tell you, I don't spend like everybody. I don't act like everybody else. If I hit the lottery tomorrow, made 500 million, You would never know it, and not even by the car.
That's what I told
drive.
Zach.
You would never friggin' know it, bro.
I would know.
Now, I tell you this, there's a lot of nonprofits and young preachers that would know. Cause I'm going up and I'm giving them money like a hobo on a ham sandwich, bro. I'll be like, bro, today is, and I don't need look, let me say one more thing before we close out. I was actually invited to a national level campaign event a year ago, this past April. And I was invited. It was a $25,000 plate deal. And I got a friend of mine who's in politics, very heavy. I can't really get into deeper than that. So I'm in North Carolina. He calls me. He says, "Hey, Bob." He said, "Are you in North Carolina?" I said, "I'm in North Carolina." He goes, "Do you remember when I did that?" Mm-hmm. And he goes, "Hey, there's a campaign. There's a fundraiser, and it's small. It's like 75 people. It's in North Carolina." I said, "Where at?" And he told me. I said, "Yeah, I can get there." He goes, "Do you have a suit?" I said, "I have a suit." He goes, "All right." He said, I said, "Well, how much is it?" He said, "Well, it's $25,000. I said, "I'm not spending that money." He goes, No. I'm going to leave your name at the door, and they're going to have you." So just to show you my perspective on money, because I believe this is God's perspective, at least for me. And so he said, "Just go up there." So I went up there, and they said, "Your name," and I gave my name, and they said, we don't have your name on the list." And I said, "Can you? I need Barbara." And they turned around and said, "Barbara, come here." And she walked right up and said, "You're Bob Perry." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Give him a badge, let him in." So I went in. And the guy that was campaigning, he came up to me twice, and he started talking to me, and I was just chatting with him and just totally engaging. Some global money was there. There was a lot of big money, a lot of money from Florida, just a lot of money. And I really felt out of place in a lot of ways. And not that I don't feel comfortable around people with wealth. It's just the posturing. It's just really hard for me because I am what I am, and I don't really care. I just am the way that I am. And this guy came up to me and he said, "So what?" He gave me his card, and there was two of them, and they gave me their card. And they said, "If you ever need anything," because they thought I paid to get in. And I said, "Number one, I'm on the donor side if I'm on any side. Number two, I'm never calling you, and you're never calling me." And I said, "I got news for you. I don't look at money like you do. It's a tool. It's not an enslaver." I said, "All of society is being enslaved by the almighty dollar." I said, "The credit system is a joke." And I said, "It is usury almost to the point of death. It's horrible." And I said, "If I do donate to any campaign of yours in the future and you ever call me for money," I said, "I will never give to another deal." I said, "I am never calling you." I said, "If I give money to your campaign, you will lose my information or I will never give." Because I don't do the quid pro quo. I don't need you. I don't need anything you can do for me. I know the one that created the stars in the heaven, who has the universe in the palm of his hand. There is nothing anybody can do for me when you know that guy. So that's pretty much it. Zach, I appreciate you having me, bud.
Oh, yeah. Well, final question.
Yeah.
We went round the mountain on that one.
No, we didn't.
What's next?
Scaling up, ramping up the wedding venue in Western North Carolina, Glamping Cigars. That's the big thing. We have another build out in Raleigh, North Carolina that we're going to start. I'll be in North Carolina in just a few weeks. And we're going to start building out another wedding and event venue there again, because it's 89% ROI is 89%. And then if you're a dummy, it's 89% net. And then if you really do it right, you can do about 110% of the contract. And I can explain that to anybody who's interested in being a part of that. Just let Zach know and he'll get a hold of me, and then we'll figure it out. I mean, I got a lot of opportunities out there, but I don't need any more noise. I'm just looking for the signals. And by the way, thanks guys for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate it. Derek, you're quite bright. Thank you so much for your insight. No, I mean that.
I think he's right. The light is very bright.
His shiny forehead.
I'm very sincere.
Hey, Bob, I can get brighter on camera. Want to watch?
Watch, he's gonna now look at his forehead. It's glowing.
Look how bright.
I love that. And by the way, is there any way you can get anything other than interrogation lights up in here? This is horrible.
That's Florida lighting right there. That cold, awful. See, I'm more the cottage.
My new
type.
studio is going to be set up. Actually, our mutual friend is going to set it up for us. Nikisha. Yeah, she's got something. She's really good at that.
Yeah, she's really good at it.
She's really good.
I love it.
She's not good at conversation, but she's good at everything else. Anyway, I shouldn't make fun of her because she's not here to defend herself. She wouldn't know what to do. She'd just laugh.
But that's why you do it.
I do.
No, that's why you should do it.
I should.
Yeah.
I will. I'll continue. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we had a fantastic show. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate our guest tonight, Bob Perry, my brother from another mother.
I'm your mister from another sister.
There it is. I don't know how that works. And as always, my sidekick, Derek, for asking the questions that I don't know to ask because he's just the smart one and I'm just the guy. Anyway, listen.
Thank you for dressing up, by the way, dude. You really outdid yourself.
I wore my expensive Harley.
I did too,
today.
you know.
I walked in with a cashmere coat.
I'm like, dude, this isn't
a nice custom shirt. And he looked at me and goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm going to be on camera. I mean, I'm just trying to be respectful." I mean,
maybe I should start dressing up. Maybe that'll help us.
It won't.
It won't either. You're right. Anyway, everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. You can always check us out. We're on all the socials under No Brainer, YouTube, No Brainer Shows. We're on all the audio socials. Just go there and find us. Follow, like, subscribe, comment. You'll probably get comments back from Derek. Sometimes me. Sometimes me, but he's the one he likes to be more commenting than I am. So if you get in an argument, snooty. It's not me. He is snooty. He is a little bitch. But anyway, check us out everywhere. Keep following, keep subscribing, keep liking. We love y'all. And until next time, next week, we have next week I'll be out of town. I'm going to New Orleans for a wedding. But until the next show, peace.